Welcome to the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast, a podcast where we teach speakers how to land paid speaking engagements and corporate contracts. Each week, we deliver high-quality content that teaches you how to level up your speaking business. Be sure to join the Speak Your Way to Cash Facebook group after having your mind blown by this information-filled episode. Now, here's your host, Ashely Kirkwood, lawyer and professional speaker. This is the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast.
First step in selling to corporate, jumping right in, behind the scenes of selling to corporate, treat people like people, not platforms. And then secondly, you want to have a process that you are leading your corporate audience through. Never assume when selling to corporate that they have their own process. Now, depending on the size of corporate, their process may be different, and whether or not they have one will vary. So one of the second point, if you will, is all corporations are not treated equal. All corporations are not treated equal. A lot of people ask me, they want to sell speaking services to corporations, and they're trying to figure out, what is the typical price range for a company? What is the typical, how do companies typically handle this type of thing? And the truth is there is no typical as it relates to selling to these companies. So keep that in mind. Every company is very, 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 very different. And there is not a set process that they're going to go through when making their sales. So that means you have to have a process that you're going to send them through. If it's a small company, privately held, and you're selling directly to the CEO, then you're going to take them through your process. You're going to have them sign your contracts. You're going to want to make sure that you do all of that, because if you don't, then you will be in a position where you are not able to actually, one, have a good contract in place, and then two, you're not able to quickly get through the process. So the corporate process can take a very long time to get through from start to finish. So what I recommend people do is actually map out the entire process, map out their entire sales process. So from the first time you contact someone to the time that they sign your contract, to the time that you do the engagement, to after the engagement, there should be a process. And I'll give you an example. My most recent client was a big company. We did an initial call. They had to go and get budget approval, which is typical. Don't think because they said they have to go get budget approval, that's like, oh, I'm not going to get the engagement. You very well might get the engagement. After they received budgetary approval, there was another process that we had to use to actually follow up with them. So we have a follow-up process, a series of emails that we send to follow up until that contract closes. We're following up some people do every 2 weeks because they don't want to annoy people. I probably do every 3 to 5 days. And then the messages that you use to follow up should be very short. But, you're following up, staying top of mind. And then after you get through that process, you go through the contracting process. I highly recommend, one, I don't like contract templates. Every time I see someone that comes to me and they've downloaded a contract template offline through my law firm, it's almost never the right contract. It doesn't protect them at all. And that's not because whoever wrote that contract is bad. It's just because templates aren't meant to fiercely protect whoever is representing them. They're meant to, honestly, I don't like contract templates. They're better than nothing. It's better to have something than nothing. But for the most part, you want to have a lawyer write down your contract. And I say that because if you're interested in selling to corporations, one thing people don't account for is the fact that these companies have legal departments. Whenever you're contracting or entering a legal agreement with someone that has far more legal resources than you, you want to make sure that you are protecting yourself with a very, very, very strong contract. So you're going to lead them through the contracting process. And one of the things that I'll tell you guys that I think people don't really understand or are surprised by, rather, is that large companies will sign your agreement, even if they have a set or standard vendor agreement in place. So just so that I can set the stage, in case you are someone listening or watching who's never dealt with corporations before, there are a couple terms you want to know. So vendor, we think of vendor in a lot of different ways, depending on, your business. But a corporate vendor is just anyone who is actually doing business or selling a service or a product to that corporation. The other word or term you may want to be familiar with is procurement. There's also contract specialists. These are going to be people some companies So with vendors, whenever you do business with a company, you're going to be a vendor. Most of them have like a vendor onboarding process. And I say company, but this is the same for colleges. Large state institutions have vendor onboarding processes. You know, some are more complex than others, but typically after they have agreed to do business with you, then you go through their vendor process. It's essentially how you register with the company to do business with them. Now, this is at the point when you're going through the vendor process, typically they've already decided they want to do business with you, and they're at the point where they're getting someone else involved. Okay, so that's a good thing. They're getting someone else involved. And because they're getting someone else involved, you want to make sure that you get through that process as easy and seamless as possible. Because at the point that a company has decided to do business with you, you're going through the vendor process. This is when you're going to have your contracts together. You're going to want to have your W-9. You're going to want, basically, we have essentially a folder with all this stuff in it. Contract, W-9, and we use Dipsado for proposals. So we send it out, and I say proposal, but really it's like a system. It allows them to get an array of speaking services that they can buy, click a box, and they go right to the contract, right to the invoice. It's cute and it works well. It works better on the business to consumer side because typically with corporate contracts, they're not just signing whatever I give them. They typically have to send it to this third party. So even if you have an automated system, you're going to want to have a Word document of that contract ready to go that you can fill out and send to whomever is going to take you through the vendor onboarding process. Procurement, depending on the size of your agreement, you may need to go through a bidding process, a formal bidding process. And this may include you submitting a long form proposal, explaining everything that you're going to do for them, etc. And the procurement office may be the office that shepherds you through that process. It just depends. What I like to focus on in terms of selling to corporate is avoiding the RFP bid compete process. Like I really don't love doing that. So, it takes a lot longer to get through, in my opinion, but it's a good process to go through because if you're going through that process, typically the only time I've gone through it, the proposal I submitted was like for $850,000. And we didn't win the bid on that particular proposal. But what I liked about it was that it was $850,000 proposal. So now I have close to $1 million proposal that's kind of ready to go. And so next year we're going to focus on those, like I'm going to send more of those out. I'm going to do more of the competition. I have a team member that's going to help and make sure that process goes well. But it is a different process for the companies for the people that I work with and that I teach to go through this process and selling to corporate and Speak Your Way to Cash Academy. What we're doing is really pitching 5 and 6 figure, lower 6 figure corporate offers. And that engagement typically starts off with one yes to one piece of the offer. But the reason that you pitch a larger proposal is so that the client has something to grow into. So I told you guys, I take you behind the scenes and talk to you about my most recent process. It was a little unorthodox. So I am very active on social media. I talk about everything, right? I talk about things that I do. So I talk about law, I talk about speaking, I talk about selling to corporate, I talk about those areas of business. And so there was a woman who follows me on Facebook, wonderful person, and she was looking for a speaker to talk about DEI issues with her company. So I have a program called the Love Method of Communication that I sell into corporate. It's my flagship corporate program, and LOVE stands for listening, open-mindedness, validation, and empathy. I also did a TEDx talk on this. So I think you'd have to Google Ashely Kirkwood TEDx. And I did 2 TEDx talks. They'll both come up. But the one I did on Feelings Over Figure talks about this love method of communication process. So I took that TEDx talk, expanded it out, developed a signature speech around it, signature workshop series. Like I have a whole lot of corporate products that are all based around this TEDx principle. I launched the TEDx talk or the signature framework during a TEDx talk, which is something that I strategically love to do. I like to land TEDx talks, launch a signature program through them, and whatever I talk about in that TEDx talk is the next thing that I'm going to sell into corporate and collegiate audiences. My first one was on the currency of confidence, and that allows me to pitch with the TEDx talk. So that's just some strategy behind the scenes. So she's looking for someone to do DEI. I really consider myself more of a communications expert than a DEI expert. Strategically, that's because DEI is like a hot topic and a hot button issue now, but communication will always be something that companies have to deal with. Also, the way that I approach DEI, our policy is we like to change people, not just policy. So whatever. Had a signature program for her. I was like, yeah, I can definitely do that. We do a communications program. This is what it entails. We can tailor it to your company. This is what that looks like. So she set up a meeting with her, whoever else was the decision maker. I think it was the director of her department and herself. We had a call. On that initial call, my goal is to figure out what's going on with the company and co-create vision. When you are selling to corporate, the big mistake I see is people don't follow scripts. I mean, you really should be getting on the phone and asking them a series of fact-finding questions. And then at the point that those questions are done, you don't just go into the pitch, you co-create vision with your corporate client. And co-creating vision looks like you being on the phone with them and saying, okay, based on what you said, I heard X, Y, and Z. Does that make sense? Now, a part of what I teach in the love method of communication is listening. That's the L. So I have to show them through my process that I embody what I teach. So if what you teach is confidence, if what you teach is joy, if what you teach is peace, if what you teach is sales, then you need to show them through your process of onboarding them how you really are the expert at what you teach. You know what I mean? Because let me tell you, some people will say, I know a lot of people that talk on confidence and speaking, and what's another big one? I don't know, let's say leadership, right? So if you're a leadership speaker, but you're afraid to lead your corporate clients through a sales process and you don't embody, you don't come off like someone that people would want to follow, that becomes a problem because they have to not only sell whoever they have to, your corporate, the person you speak to in corporate, that initial contact is not just trying to be sold on the product or service that you sell. They have to take what you've given them and sell all the other stakeholders on that thing. Now, if it's a very low cost, like you're someone that is speaking for $2,000 and maybe they don't have to get any budgetary approval. It doesn't matter. They're like, okay, well, I can just approve this, but that's not where you want to be. Almost every time I speak to someone, they're like, all right, we got to go get approval for that. And that's where I want to be. When I first started speaking, the reason I talk so much about like not focusing on the lower tier speaking engagements is because when I first got into the speaking market seriously, like wanting to make full-time income as a speaker, wanting to make 6-7 figures as a speaker, a lot of the courses were like, okay, talk to 7,000 people and then you'll convert 3 and then they'll get on a $3,000 thing and then they'll do this. And then you can do like 50 speeches a year at $2,000-$3,000. And people were really proud of the fact that they landed 50 speaking engagements a year. And I also was like, that is amazing. That is good. I was proud of that fact. But let me tell you guys, I don't know if any of you are moms or dads or just busy, but it's like, that gets tiring. Even in my law practice, we were getting like our first year, we probably served over 100 entrepreneurs in business. And yeah, we made money. But the problem was it was exhausting to have to be on a hamster wheel every single month. And I'm looking at my dashboard, because you should have a CRM. And I'm like, well, dang. We made money last month and now I had a good month, celebrate with my husband, go out, steak dinner. And then it's like January 1, now we're starting at 0. That was crazy to me. I'm like, why do I have to do this every month? This is not sustainable because I'm going to tell you guys a little secret about me that helps me to negotiate my prices. And that'll help you too. I don't like working all that much all the time. I would rather not work than take a lower engagement. And I changed my mindset to like, all right, I need a get out of bed number. Like I'm not getting out of bed. When I first started speaking, it was like, I'm not getting out of bed less than 2,000. Then it was like, all right, I'm not getting out of bed for less than 5,000. And then it was like, you know what? We're going to remove this up to 7,500. And now it's like, all right, cool. But I tell clients up front, corporate clients, I'm like, look, due to demand, we are only working with clients who are willing to make a long-term commitment to their change. Is that you? Now, are they going to say they don't want to make a long-term commitment to their change? No, they're not going to say that. So write that question down. We are only working with companies that want to make a long-term commitment to their change. The reason I say it like that is so that they know I am a partner with you forever. Like literally, I want to be all up in your business. I want to know, if you leave and someone else comes along, I want to know. You go to another company, I want to know. That's why I follow my clients on social media. I do the same thing for my firm. I just found out when I found out one of my clients was having a baby, we sent flowers. I found out another client lost somebody in their family. I sent flowers. Like, and I'm their lawyer, and they're always so shocked. Like, oh my gosh, you sent me flowers. You did this. And I'm like, look, if I work with you, this is a relationship. You like me, I like you. We're going to keep doing business together. And I approach corporate the exact same way. You're going to get that holiday card with me, my husband, and my cute little baby. You're going to get some impromptu gifts on your birthday. Like, we're going to serve you well so that I am not on this hamster wheel for clients. Plus, people love doing business with people they like. I've had clients who when COVID hit, they had to, renege our contract. They felt so bad. They came back, gave me a bigger contract. Like we signed a contract for $6,000 or $7,000. It was a one-off thing. They came back and was like, all right, cool. Now we're going to do this deal for $35,000. I was like, excellent. They were like, and we're going to refer you to 10 people because we just feel so bad. And, you sent us that popcorn for Christmas and you did this. I'm like, you know what? If we could just focus on building real, authentic relationships with people, your clients should almost never leave you. Even if they're not working with me, they're not giving me money for something at the time, I still need to know how they're doing because they are a person. This goes back to treating people like people, not platforms, because that person may stay at that particular job for a long time. But as we know, because I came out of corporate, I will leave a job in a minute. But if I like someone, I will create opportunities for them at whatever the place that I go to. So one of the biggest things that I think people miss, and we actually are talking about this tomorrow, the thing you need to do that's more important than selling is you need to overserve where you're at. And then you need a system for getting referrals. But that's tomorrow's lesson. So anyways, back to the actual sales process for selling to corporate. For those of you who just joined, my name is Ashely Kirkwood. I own the Speak Your Way to Cash coaching program. It's also a podcast and a Facebook group. And I also am a lawyer, went to Northwestern Law, have a background representing billion-dollar companies at trial, which is really where I realized I was an exceptional speaker. I did speech and debate when I was younger, but if you can convince a jury of 12 people who don't care nothing about what you're talking about to vote for your side, you're a pretty good speaker. So that's my background. Started my own law firm and speaking, coaching, consulting practice. And we're talking about behind the scenes of selling to corporate. We're going to do some Q&A. So if you have questions, hit the stage. But after you co-create that vision by following a sales script, which we just talked about, you want to have a sales script. You want to follow that sales script. When it comes time that you've asked them all the questions you want to ask them, you want to co-create that vision with them, and you want to set the stage that you are not a one-trick pony, meaning you want to foreshadow through the entire sales process that you have something on the back end. You know what I mean? And that may look like telling them client testimonials while explaining your recommendations to them. The line that I love there, what most of my clients do in this position, like just that line, what most of my clients do in this position. So yeah, I've heard of that. What most of my clients like to do in this position is X. I recently helped a client do Y. Your situation is a little bit different, so I tweak it like this. Now, here's the thing. Saying things like, I'm going to tweak it like this. This is what I recommend. This makes sense. How does that feel for you? You're bringing them into the process, but you have to make sure, and this is why scripts are so important. And this is why when you work with someone that's going to teach you the sales process for corporations, you want them to give you a script. So in the academy, we are going to give a script for this, and then we'll have some buzzwords in that script that you can use, because some of these words you're going to want to just use because it helps to move the conversation forward. One of the problems that I think people have with engaging in corporate sales in general is that they don't have the language to move the deal forward. But moving the deal forward is 100% on the service provider. Like most people, think about it. Let's say you had a $2 million budget. You got to hire some speakers. You got to hire some entertainers. You got to hire some people. You're not waking up like, I have so many people that I pay for just being in business, but I don't wake up like, oh man, I can't wait to pay so-and-so to do this for me. Even if they're good, I'm just not like so thrilled about it. Like, so they're the same way, and they have a larger budget to work with if they're dealing in the millions or billions of dollars. And so you need to, it's your job, because you're the person who wants the money, to move that process along. I'm not going to chase someone down to do business with them. And one of the things that I have realized in doing business with a lot of other emerging business owners is that they really want you to chase them down to do business with them. And it's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not chasing you down to do business. I'm not chasing you down to, find out where my stuff is. If I have to do that, then you just lost me as a client. Like I'm gonna finish out this contract and then that's it. I'm not referring you. I'm not working with you anymore. Like I'm just not playing those games with people who I've given my money to. If I call, I want an answer. I don't want the whole, oh, you can't reach. Because it's like, if I could reach you before giving you my money, I have to be able to reach you, whatever the process is, email or phone, I have to be able to reach you after I've given you that money. So keep the service piece of this top of mind. Point. Okay, so then one, you said you have a process. So you've taken the course, so you know all about signature speeches and developing that out. That's going to be top of mind. And then I would develop a LinkedIn. I would get my LinkedIn Live distinction if you don't have it already. And I would target, there's a couple different ways to do it. If you could target HR directors, so leaders in the HR industry, not just like SHRM. I think SHRM is good. Everyone talks about SHRM, but there are some organizations that are specifically for leaders in the human resources industry. And then there's other associations and affiliations that are for CEOs of companies grossing more than X amount of dollars. If you could partner with companies that target those individuals, then that will be good. So you can do like a CEO roundtable. You could look at the companies that have an audience of C-suite executives and partner and collaborate with them to do an event solely for senior level executives. And you have a limited number of seats and get before them talking about your process. Now, you don't want to give them the entire speech, but explaining your framework and how you work with people and things they can do now, like small action items. Don't give them too much, like for an example, when the Illinois required the sexual harassment training, they started requiring it for everyone. It was a big thing. It meant a lot of companies were getting work in that area. So one of the things we did was we just did a series for senior HR leaders about the requirements of this thing. So it was a new law. We did a series about the requirements. How do you comply? When they registered for that free workshop, we asked them, are you interested in improving communication for your company? Are you interested in DEI for your company? And so they said yes. And for the people that said yes, we followed up with them and we closed a few of them on some deals. So I would do something like that. In terms of who you target, director of HR isn't a bad way to go, but also don't be afraid to just go directly to CEOs, especially of those middle market companies. And LinkedIn, I have Sales Navigator. I honestly buy everything for LinkedIn. And I know some people are like, not about that life, but I buy everything for LinkedIn. And I'll tell you, like, we're doing a meeting with someone who's pretty high up in Whole Foods and procurement solely off of like a LinkedIn reach out strategy. And we don't know each other at all. So I like LinkedIn for reaching out and developing those relationships. But I would say, so if you're going to go with the director of HR route or the CEO route, you want to you want to have like a list of people with particular job titles and then talk to them. One of the things we're doing in the academy in the first quarter of the year is some heavy market research. So co-creating a lot of these programs that we're going to do with these companies, like creating them with people who are in that field so that we can clearly and effectively speak the language of their pain point. So that's another thing that you can do is just do some market research and see what people actually want. But you don't want to develop anything that people don't really, really, really want in the marketplace. But in terms of who to target, you have HR and then just go straight to like CEO or chief operations officers. Don't be afraid to just go right to the C-suite.
Hey guys, I want to come in really quickly and tell you all about the Speak Your Way to Cash course. This course is for speakers who are looking to consistently book paid speaking engagements. In short, if you are ready to speak your way to cash, this is the course you need. There are over 17 modules. You heard that right, 17, that cover getting clarity in your speaking career, branding through the press, a 7-figure sales panel, selecting your niche and finding engagements, selling your signature speech and building it out, onboarding and offboarding clients, implementation and taking it to the next level. And then let me tell you about the 10 bonus trainings that encompass the 17 trainings that you're going to get. The bonus trainings cover things like branding as a speaker, the best tools for finding engagements, determining whether a topic is viable, speech writing for success, speaking techniques, self-publishing for speakers, sales success, landing association and college clients, navigating the conference market, and so much more. You even get the exact pitch templates that I use to land college clients over and over again, and the press pitch templates that I use. So look, you can get this course by going to ashleynicolekirkwood.com/SYWTC course. ashleynicolekirkwood.com/SYWTC course. Or just enter Ashely Kirkwood Speak Your Way to Cash course in Google and it should come right up. Thanks guys for listening. Let's get back to this interview.
The question that we received is, how do I talk about my value as it relates to the other people that I've served when this client before me is the first person that I've served? So there's 2 strategies you can use. One of those strategies would be saying, you know what? This is a really special opportunity because this program is brand new. So instead of me telling you, like, this program is brand new, so you would be the first person that has the opportunity to partner with us in this way. It's premier and it's unique, and we're only working with a select few companies. And so we decided to reach out to you directly, and I'll tell you why. What market research shows is X. X. And that's when you show your expertise a little bit. You don't go into consultant mode and give them a free consult. No, you're just saying what market research shows is X. Companies like yours that are in the blank to blank range have a real issue with diverse hiring. Can you relate to that? And they're like, yeah, we can relate to that. That's one of the reasons we reached out, because X, Y, and Z works out for you. Is that still a goal of yours? Yeah. Okay, well, then I think this would be a really good fit. And I think we made the right decision in reaching out to you. Just flip it. Don't let them, because here's the thing, guys. This goes back to leadership. Companies are risk averse. However, if you can demonstrate that you know the industry, you have somewhere you're leading them to, they will follow you. And if it is like when we first started doing, and this is a big mistake I see people making in business generally, especially with trademark lawyers. And I think one of the things that I see as a big mistake that people make is they announce to everyone that they're new. And Audrea Richmond actually talks about this as well. You don't need to tell everybody you're new, because the reality is you may be new to some part of the process, but you are not new to your particular, the level, the expertise, or the thing that you're teaching. You're not new to that. Like, you're not new to tech, and you're not new to understanding the marketplace of diverse individuals in tech. You're not new to any of that. You're not new to communications. You're not new to the career ecosystem generally. You're just new. Like, this company is just, this program may be new. So, you want to, this is all about framing. This is all about framing. You want to make sure when you are selling to corporate that you are framing things in a way that they can accept and sell, and that you can operate in, you want to be honest and truthful and all of that, but you want to be able to operate in your zone of genius and exemplify that you are the person for the job. So it's really, to me, just a matter of framing. You don't have to lie and say like, oh, well, we've actually helped all these other companies. No, but you can say, well, Mark, it's a new program. But what we have found is that companies that are similar to yours and whatever your industry is and have a good stat, companies love a good stat, throw a good stat in there. You can always finding statistical. I'm going to be honest. Sounding smart is a lot easier than people think. Like, find a stat, find something on their website, read their press releases. It could be as simple as what I saw in your most recent press release that came out. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but what they said was that your company is looking to X, Y, and Z. Has that been your experience? Because throughout this entire process, you want them saying yes several times before you ever get them to the ultimate question, which is, will you buy my thing, or will you become a corporate partner, or will you blah, blah, blah. Like, you want to get them saying yes at least 5 times beforehand, which is why I'm always like, let's bring them in. Let's bring them into the discussion. So, keep that in mind. But that's how I'd approach it. Does that make sense? Is that helpful at all? You got to be empathetic and all that. But it's one of those things. It is still business. And, unfortunately, and I think most people understand this, because I was literally 6 centimeters dilated signing off on a contract for a client, because honestly, you still have to do what you have to do. People are understanding, but you have to have some processes in place. And so I think that she'd be cool with that. And, I think the flowers is a nice touch. It's also just a good thing to do, being a good person and all that. Send her something if someone loses someone. This is something that we're going to have to deal with, I think, a lot, just because of the temperature of the world right now. A lot of people are losing people. We've had so many clients that have lost people during all this from the pandemic and other things. And so doing business while being empathetic is just something we're going to have to learn and work on. That's how I would approach it. I wouldn't give up the contract. I wouldn't assume that a lot's going on, because she was hiring you for her university, not for herself personally. So there should be someone else who can pick up that process and kind of help shepherd you through it. And you may find that after a few days, she's still handling it. Like, she may not have taken leave. If she took leave, there is someone else who's able to pick that up, because we've had clients that have left the office to have a baby, and they just give me someone else to talk to. They make sure that we get through the contracting process so that we can continue on. It doesn't change the fact that she still wants to hire you. Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think you need to just get practice saying the fee is $50,000. I mean, you all don't, and I keep saying this. Latrice is a perfect example. Latrice, you could have went in and said, my fee is typically $7,500. Let me know what your budget is, and we'll figure it out. And I don't even like selling it like that, because that basically tells them you'll negotiate down. But you just got, the fee is $7,500. Boom. Say nothing. I'm going to tell you guys, and I don't know if I've said this before, but we do these presentations a lot, and you can it is not these people will pay the price, or they won't. And even if they don't pay your initial highest offer, like if you say it's $10,000 and they only have a budget of $5,000 or whatever, you have room to come down. But if you come down on your price, you also have to come down on what you're providing. That way they know the price is justified. So it's like, okay, well, if we took away the books and we took away the workshops, we took away all of that stuff, we could probably do it for that rate. But you would lose out on some of those other features. Does that work out for you? And then also, you should look into the Academy, because we're actually building out those 5- and 6-figure corporate proposals. And now that you know that it works, I feel like the Speaker Ready Cash course is dope. And it's good for people who are like, all right, I want to at least figure out how to do these one-off engagements, because it builds the confidence, like Latrice just said. But after you know it's real out here, you might as well just jump in the deep end, do the big ticket items, at least propose those on the front end, and you'll end up getting, $10,000, $15,000, because no one's going to be mad at that. You propose 60, they take 15,000 at first, and they're going to do the exact same thing they did at that $5,000 level. They're going to come back. They're going to want to work with you because look, it's too much paperwork to be switching service providers. They're not trying to do all that paperwork. After they like you, they know they can trust you. They're like, all right, we need a speech on this. We're just going to hit up Latrice. And so now, even with the speakers that are in the Academy, if I can't do something, or if I need to partner with another speaker because it's outside of my expertise, I can still do that. And I'll just do it with someone in the Academy. So yeah, I love it. I love that testimonial. I love that you're out there. I love that you're raising your rate. That rate needs to definitely go up to at least $5,000 on the college side, and even that could be higher. But, if you've gotten up to 2,500, 5,000 is a easy transition. I talked about this yesterday, and I'll talk about it again today. There's various levels in terms of getting help. So if you have no budget and you're like, all right, I got to find something to do, I want to start moving forward, listen to the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast. It is outstanding. The information is super good, and it's free. It's a podcast. So don't be afraid to listen to the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast. That's free. Also, the Speak Your Way to Cash Facebook group, there's tons of videos in there. You can just join, sort by media, go to videos, watch those. Also free. We have a 5 steps. I think we have, if you go to AshelyNicoleKirkwood.com, we have something else that's free that you can watch. There's free resources out there. Now, to streamline success, because you said you're busy, you don't really have a lot of time either, we have a course that talks about getting those one-off engagements. That's the course that Anitra and Latrice took. So that is something to keep in mind. The course is, I believe, $1,200 or 2 payments of $750. And I'm going to try this thing out where I give you guys a number to test, and let's see if all that stuff works out. I'm going to try to do that, and I'll give you guys a code you can use on the course to get a discount on that course. So I will give that out to you as well. I'll give it out to everyone in a couple minutes as soon as I make sure the automation works. But yeah, so the course is $1,200. Now, I have a Speak Your Way to Cash Academy. That is for people who are interested in those 5- and 6-figure corporate speaking offers, who are like, I want to go to the next level in this. And that is right now through the end of the year. So I guess for another couple of weeks, it's on a sale for $15,000 or $1,500 a month. So those are our programs. My VIP days in 2021 are $25,000. So, it's an investment to work over here. But the course is probably the most affordable way to work with, to get information from me. But it doesn't include any of the coaching and things like that. But it does have a lot of information in it. And you could probably reach out to Latrice or Anitra to learn more about what's in the course. And also, I'll send you the link to it because it has a lot of stuff in it. It's self-guided, a good way to get started. And, the goal is, and what a lot of people have done, I'll just be honest, they've listened to the podcast, they've taken the course. There's different people at different levels, but once you take the course, you're going to start making money, then you're going to want to go to the next level. And so we have someone in the Academy. Most people in the Academy have taken the course or a course with me and decided all right, cool, I could do some stuff with this. I'm a little dangerous, but I'm just ready to get consistent group coaching. So we're together for 12 months in the Academy, and there's group coaching every other week. You can submit your proposals and I'll personally review them, and you'll get my feedback on it via video. So it's very robust, and it has more hand-holding, more personal touch. So I like it. And then you're in a group with other experts who are going through the same process and thought leaders. So that's why I like it. So if you're funding, you could do the funding for the $15K and see if you can get into the course. But if you're like, all right, I could probably raise $1,000, then that may be a good way to go for that too. So those are the options. And then there's also the free resources that I mentioned as well. Don't be afraid to do imperfect pitching now. Let's say I'm a big fan of starting where you're at. Like, it is important to invest, but if you really don't have it, then you don't have it to invest right now. So that doesn't mean you don't do anything right now. It just means you do what you can. And then as you do what you can, it may take a little longer to see those results. But after you see those results, then you're able to reinvest and level up. And so the reason I invest now is because I want to save time. And so I have to just invest because I have to save time. But before I needed to save time, I just had to, do what I could at that where I was at. So, I appreciate the question and, the desire. And so my prayer for you is that you're able to invest in whatever you want. And that time will come, whether it's now or in the future. Your story is really, 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 really powerful. And you should 100% be pitching companies right now about self-care, mental wellness during COVID. Like, they need it. I'm going to give you guys a number to text. I've literally never done this before, so you have to bear with me so you all can get that code for the course. I'm actually literally looking for my number now because I'm like, how does this even work? Okay, I have my number. So you all can text 312-847-4590. And you could just say hey or whatever, 312-847-4590. I would text it myself, but I can't. So just text that number, 312-847-4590, and I'll also put it in my bio on here as well. And if you text that number, I will send you the discount code for the course, and you all can check that out, but that should be good. And I will update my bio to include that number as well. All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Much love to Canada. We had a few people from Canada attend our last event. We made it virtual. And then when we had an in-person event, we still had someone from Canada come. So I was like, before the pandemic, I was seriously considering doing something in Canada. We have a great audience there. I love Canada. And there was a speaking agent in Canada that reached out and that wanted to partner up. So I was like, all right, well, I don't know. I may need to hop and move to Canada. My husband loves traveling. So if we go anywhere, we're ready to go. So I appreciate that. Much love to Canada. Any other Canadians on the line? Shout out to y'all. It's a great place, really good vibes and great speaking community. So I think one of the benefits of the speakers I've met in Canada, they are able to easily do US engagements and vice versa. And a part of it is the fees in the US are slightly higher on average. So there's always variations to that, but there's definitely opportunity here for that as well. Yeah. So your price it's a longer process. So I'll give you the long and short of it. 1, you want to identify your market. It sounds like colleges. 2, you want to make sure that you're going to phrase it as you're bringing a program to campus. And I think for professors or adjuncts, this is a little bit challenging because professors get paid per course and adjuncts get paid per semester. And sometimes I know at Northwestern, where I attended school, the adjuncts were making $3,000 per semester. Whereas speakers and people who bring programs in and who are vendors of the university can get paid $5,500, $6,500 per session. So per 1 hour, that's assuming you only do the 1 hour speech. So the first step would be your audience. The second step would be identifying the job titles of people that can hire you. For colleges, it's typically the directors of campus programming. That's a good place to start. It can also be chancellors and other people, but in terms of giving a general overview, directors of campus programming, then you want to reach out to them and you want to have a signature speech or a signature program that you're going to sell them into. You typically have a call with them, walk them through a sales process, send them a proposal, and then it's just a matter of them saying yes, signing the contract. And then typically universities pay out. Some of them do net 30, some do net 60. Some private institutions can pay you in advance, but none of my state institution clients can pay in advance. So, that's something to keep in mind. But that's in a nutshell, the process. There's a lot more. We have courses on it and all that. But in a nutshell, that's essentially what you'd be doing. But you want to make sure you use the right terminology, because if you say I want to come in and do a guest lecture, that signals to them that it's going to be free. But if you say I would like to bring a program into the school, then you'd want to say, okay, that's when it's going to signal to them, all right, we know we have to pay. And you could just ask what's your budget for speaking? Corporations are a little different only because the job title is going to be different. You're still going to walk them through a sales process and get them to sign on. There's typically a lot more steps, but it's the same. You pitch them into a program, do a sales call, get the yes, send them a contract, send your W-9, and then you do the engagement. And then after the engagement, you should go through another process. That's this today, I'm doing a wrap-up call with a large pharmaceutical company I spoke for 2 days ago. So our process does not end after the engagement. We've gotten some reviews. We're going to do an actual call, see if anything could go better. And then we're also going to have this wrap-up call immediately after the event so that we can talk about next steps and getting them onto the next part of our process. So with all verticals, one of the things that I'd recommend you do is you want to have some market research. You want to make sure that you know a little bit about what people want in their own terms, and more importantly than what they want, what they worry about. I think a lot of times we chase what our clients want, but really we want to chase what they worry about, because if we know what they worry about, then we can guide them through to their solution a lot better. So after you know what they worry about, you want to make sure that you position yourself in the marketplace as the only person that can solve that problem through a proprietary system. And this is where me being a speaking coach and a lawyer comes in handy, because you can talk about, this is where I tell people you want to have a trademarkable proprietary process that you walk your clients through from worry to transformation. And so if you can figure out how to walk them through that process, then you're going to be the obvious choice. And then it's just a matter of, all right, I've done my market research. I know what they worry about. I know how I can solve those problems. I have my signature speech that can convert into a signature program, that can convert into a signature consulting, proprietary consulting solution. So you have a long-term play with the client, and then you just need to find all the job titles of anyone that can potentially hire you, and then use LinkedIn to identify their names and potentially emails. And then you want to reach out to those folks with a sales process that invites them to do business with you versus just pitches them. So it should be, you're inviting them to a particular event. You're inviting them to read a particular article. You're inviting them to listen to a particular podcast. So something that doesn't require them to get out their checkbooks right away, but it does give them a way to learn about your expertise. Like literally all of you all are here for free. You're all here for free. You're listening to some good info. You're like, okay, I could take that. That sounds good. I could do some stuff with that. And then some of you are like, I've heard this. I need to actually change and I want to take the next step. So you're taking the next step because I've already shown you that I'm the expert in this particular field, or I know what I'm talking about as it relates to I'm a thought leader in the speaking space and how I approach it. So that's the same thing you want to do. And this is why empathy-based selling is so important. Put yourself in the shoes of the person with the money. You're going to want to feel like they're the obvious choice. They know exactly what you want. They're giving you something of value before they even try to sell you on something. And then you are like, okay, they've exposed something that I didn't know or an unreasonable fear that I have. And so now I want to take the next step. So what does that process look like for you in corporate? It needs to be authentic to you. So if you like speaking, I would do that. I would speak. You know what I mean? I would speak. I would have a webinar, or I would have something where they can come to, and I would put it out a couple of weeks so that you have time to market it and make it something that you can promote using LinkedIn or using Eventbrite or using whatever channel you can. And don't be afraid to ask your friends and family who they know as well, because they may not have the power to pay you, but they should know someone who does. Like even if you have a family member that works in the custodial staff of somewhere, or maybe they work in HR, or maybe they work in, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter their position. I say that to say they could work in janitorial services, they could work in engineering, they could work as the CMO, the chief marketing officer. They have the ability to access that company's directory. They can introduce you, or at least give you the name of the person you should be looking for. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You could text 312-847-4590. And I'll tell you guys, so if you're someone who wants to book the one-off engagements, like at the collegiate level, et cetera, then text Sunrise to 312-847-4590. If you are someone who is interested in actually booking those 5- and 6-figure corporate offers that we work with, and you want some more personal coaching, then you should text apply to 312-847-4590. So Sunrise for the one-off speaking engagements, or apply for our corporate coaching program that starts in January. You can also just say both, like it doesn't matter. But the number is 312-847-4590. And I've also updated my bio to include it there as well. So you will see it there as well. I do intellectual property, trademark, contracts, and we really have a firm called Mobile General Counsel. So we serve as outside general legal counsel for our clients, and we help them to scale their business with smart legal strategies. So that's kind of what Mobile General Counsel does. So we do a lot of business stuff. So we represent business owners across the spectrum. We've done commercial leases. We've done a lot with intellectual property, though, protecting that IP, copyrights, trademarks, contracts. That's like the foundation every business owner needs. That's in the second or third paragraph of the bio. It says Mobile General Counsel there, but maybe I can update that to make that a little stand out more. That's a good point. Thank you. So a lot of different points there that you brought up. There's always lines with legal. I think that's why it makes innovation a little bit more difficult in general. But one of the things that I will say is that if you're speaking about, so I'll speak about legal services and just give a disclaimer. It's not a huge deal. It hasn't been a huge issue for us. But the other thing is when it comes to professors, they don't have to be performers. For speakers, no one really pays you to speak. They pay you to perform, especially if you're going to do like collegiate speaking. They're looking for people who are going to be engaging, who are going to perform the services really well. And there's no expectations that professors have to be remotely interesting at all. The other thing is professors teach hard educational things versus life skills. And what most colleges are hiring speakers for is to teach those life skills that professors are not even going to touch on at all. So, literally you could do, our college program is essentially all about confidence, almost exclusively, just the currency of confidence. That's the whole speech. We talk about confidence, mindset, all of those things that will help them to be successful in life, but that there's not like a confidence 101 class at a college. So if you go into a college, you bring up a good point in that you want to make sure that you aren't someone who is going in to teach like biology 101. That's not what you want to do. You want to have really a soft skill or a revolutionary story that the college students can get a lot of value out of, because that's what they're going to pay you for. And that's what they're going to be interested in hearing about. Based on Sergio's advice, I'm actually going to update my bio so that it's even clearer what I do and the different ways that you all can work with me. But I'm super excited about this conversation. It was definitely fun for me. If you do need legal services, feel free to you can text me at the same number. It's actually, after you go through that process and set it up, it's actually going to be me. So don't worry about that. You can just text it for whatever you need, and we'll guide you in the right direction. For those of you just joining the room, my name is Ashely Kirkwood. I run the Speak Your Way to Cash coaching program and podcast. I also run Mobile General Counsel, which is a law firm. It's myself and a team of awesome, brilliant women and men who help to protect your businesses. And today we talked about selling to corporate and kind of some behind the scenes stuff. We did some Q&A. Tomorrow is the last day of our Sunrise Speaker Series. It is literally the finale. So hopefully you guys are planning to attend that. And I would be thrilled if you did, and tell a friend about it. So I should have been like, when you get in the room, ping some other people. I'm still new to Clubhouse, which I imagine a lot of us are. But if you enjoyed this today, shoot me a message on LinkedIn, and I will be sure to respond to that. You could do LinkedIn, but our Instagram messages are a bit backed up. So in terms of just wrapping this, the things that we talked about, you're not selling to a corporation. You're selling to a person who works at a corporation. Treat people like people, not platforms. Guide them through a really well-oiled sales process and make sure that you understand you are leading them through that process. It's 100% your obligation to get them to the finish line of that process. And you want to co-create vision with your client. So hopefully you guys found value in this. If you found value in it, you're like, all right, I want to take the next step. I want to learn more about working with you. Then just text Sunrise to 312-847-4590, and I'll give you a discount code on the course. That discount code will be good through the end of the series, so tomorrow at midnight. And then I will also, you could just text me if you have questions about joining the Academy. You can apply to the Academy using the link in my LinkedIn bio, or I can send it to you if you text me as well. All right, so have a good day. Make sure you follow some folks. I'll leave the room open for a few minutes just so we can make sure that we're all following each other. If you click my picture, then make sure next to that picture you click that little bell button and change it to always. That way you're notified when we go live. I try to plan these out, but honestly, I have like a 7-month-old, so sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, child. I try to do my best. But we've been pretty consistent on the Sunrise tip because my daughter is sleeping. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning.
All right, wasn't that interview amazing? If you're anything like me, you have pages full of notes. But here's the thing. Before you head out, I want you to go to facebook.com and join the Speak Your Way to Cash Facebook group. That is where I am. That's where a ton of other speakers are, a ton of other people who listen to the show. We all congregate there and chat. And it's 100% free. Now, if you're ready to take your speaking career to the next level, I have 2 ways for you to do that. One, you can go to ashleynicolekirkwood.com/SYWTC live replay and pick up the live replay. That training is 7 modules, chock full of information. It's crazy. Go over there, read all about it. Or if you want a more personal experience, you're already you already know that you want to be a speaker. You're ready to fully commit and you want someone to walk you through it and save you tons of time Googling and doing it on your own, then book a VIP day with me. You can go to AshelyNicoleKirkwood.com, scroll down until you see the VIP day section and get more information on that there. All right. Thank you guys again for watching. Please do not forget to leave us a review. That is how we keep this train rolling and get some of the best speakers in the world to get on this show. So please, please, please leave a review. Shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram, and Facebook in the Speak Your Way to Cash group, Instagram at the Ashely Nicole Show. And I'd be more than happy to chat with you and say hi. All right, y'all have an awesome, awesome day.